After a very troubled development cycle that went on for almost a decade, The Last Guardian is almost here. And now that the game has gone gold, Fumito Ueda has been doing a bit of promotion of the game and has done a couple of interviews that I want to focus on a couple of snippets from. The first of which is from a recent interview with GameSpot, in which he clearly said that despite all the trouble that the game has gone through to get to this point, it's still their original vision. And he said, quote, "I'll give you the short answer. It's the latter. We carried out what we set to do, and it's the original vision that we now see in this completed game. Sure, over the course of years, a lot of things have changed, but we knew from the very beginning that we wanted to create something that was timeless, something that was going to last a very long time, that was going to hold up for X amount of years. I think Sony as a whole understood that from the very beginning. It really did matter for The Last Guardian that we remained true to the original vision and carried that out." Now, I was going to follow up to that question. GameSpot basically questioned him on how you even begin to approach something like making a game timeless. I mean, the games that end up being timeless probably didn't actually set out with that goal in mind. They just ended up being timeless because of the story was so good, or they used certain graphic style that means it doesn't age as poorly, combined with probably an interesting story. Like, the really timeless games are either just some simple, enjoyable mechanics or a really good story, or sometimes both. So he said, quote, "No one has confirmed that this is the right thing to do. I can't even tell you that this is the answer or this is the formula. If you follow my formula, if you follow my formula, you'll make a timeless video game. There's no confirmation or affirmation from anyone. It's just my instinct and my gut that's telling me that this is what I hope will become a timeless video game. I ask myself, what I'm making right now, 5 years from today, will that hold up? Will I be happy or satisfied with it looking back? I guess it's my way to measure whether it could potentially be a timeless creation. I remind myself to check in with my future self. Is it going to hold up well? Is it going to age well? It's not just the visual side I look at, but also the theme that's in the game and the level design that's in the game. Now, I don't know if this will work. Like I said, no one is telling me it's going to, but I feel like that is the factor that helps me make my decisions as to whether or not it's going to last a long time, and not just something that is consumed and digested before moving on to the next thing." Now, of course, the fact that he was apparently considering this so much during development is especially important because, well, this game has been in development for so long. It's been in development since 2007. So the design philosophies and mechanics and all that sort of thing that were popular at the time that they were making the game, don't forget this game was originally supposed to come out for PS3, were obviously very different to what's popular now, to what's sort of the done thing now. So how timeless it ends up being and how much he kind of had the foresight to think, okay, is this mechanic going to work well in 5 years? Definitely going to be put to the test more than usual, simply because it's had such a long development cycle. Now, speaking of that development cycle, there was a long period where we kind of assumed that this game wasn't coming out. You know, Sony kept assuring us, don't worry, it's still coming out, but we hadn't heard from it in years, and it was just kind of accepted that this game just wasn't ever going to happen. Then, of course, it appeared at E3 a couple of years ago, and everyone was like, oh my god, it's actually happening. And when he was speaking in a recent video interview with Jeff Keighley, Ueda admitted that there were times where he feared the game would never come out. And he said, quote, "Certainly there were times when I felt that could happen. However, we were very fortunate to be seen as a title that was desired by fans and the audience. So obviously with that comes an enormous amount of pressure, but in the end it became a very healthy cycle for us to take that pressure and to put it into the game itself." And even went on to say that the most difficult decision that they had to make as a team was the decision to move development from the PS3 to the PS4. And that's how long it would take for them to create this game. And obviously it's paid off. That gamble, I guess, has paid off. It's given them the time they needed to make this game. And now it's, of course, is going to get PS4 Pro support with 4K HDR and minor performance improvements. So obviously they chose correctly, but obviously that was probably a very difficult decision at the time because, well, developing with the PS3, changing that to the PS4 undoubtedly added more time, as of course they're very different systems in terms of their architecture and all that sort of thing, but it definitely was the right one. So hopefully this game is good. I mean, I am a big fan of all of their games. I love Ico, I love Shadow of the Colossus, and this is very much a spiritual successor. It's more of a Ico spiritual successor from what I can tell from the gameplay that we've seen. but it still looks like it will be good. I'm just cautiously optimistic, because when a game has this trouble in development, it is always a worry. So fingers crossed that next month when we finally get our hands on this game, it will actually be good after such a long wait. Really hope so. Anyway, that's me done for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.